Now to the town of St George, which is located 500 kilometres west of Brisbane at the top of the Murray-Darling Basin. The community is racing against the clock to build levees to protect the town. From St George, the floodwaters will course all the way to the mouth of the Murray in South Australia, but that journey will take months. ABC reporter Paul Lockyer joins me on the phone from St George. Paul Lockyer, how much danger is the town in at the moment?
Well, Tracy, given what we just heard in John Taylor's report, there's a greater sense of optimism and comfort here in St George tonight because news has come through that a predicted peak of 14.5 metres in the river, which would have been an all-time high, has been reduced to less than 14 metres. And the levee banks around the town have been constructed to make sure that they cover a flood of 14.5 metres. So there is optimism here, but I have to say the Ballon River is running at an enormous pace as it comes past St George, and there is enormous volumes to still come down, and some houses that were swamped by the floods. And remember, St George has had 2 floods in the space of just 9 months. Some of those houses have already gone under, and they were houses that were only reoccupied in the last couple of months, so you can imagine how dispirited that is for the people who have reoccupied those homes. But to give you an idea of how much water there is up in Queensland now, Tracy, coursing south from here, every day now there is 250,000 megalitres of water coursing past St George, and that is half a Sydney harbour a day. And that is just the beginning of the flow. The major flow is far north from here. It'll take weeks to get here, and it'll be flowing past St George for weeks to come. So it's whilst they think they'll get past the peak here, which occurs on Saturday, there is a long time to go before the waters begin to settle in this part of the world.
St George is at the top of the Murray-Darling Basin. Where will all this water eventually go?
Well, it's amazing country up here, Tracy. It's extraordinarily flat. It's not called a floodplain for nothing, and it just spreads out in all directions. And but it will work its way down the Condamine Ballon River system, and that will go into the Colgoa River. We're into New South Wales now, and it gets finally to the Darling. But time means nothing in this ageless country. It'll take 6 weeks to get from St George to Burke at the top of the Darling. It'll take another 2 months to get from Burke to the Murray River, where that meets at Wentworth at the bottom of New South Wales, and probably another couple of months to get to the mouth of the Murray. So it'll almost be the start of winter before the water from here gets to the mouth of the Murray.
These floods have been so big. Where do we position them in historic terms in Australia?
It's very hard. It's very hard to do that, isn't it? When you see on the television people, we look through a very short focus on life. But when you get up and see the photographs, and we've just been choppering around here today and see the immense amount of water. In March last year, it was estimated that Queensland was covered with waters that were the size of Victoria. They think now the water up here in the southeast of Queensland covers something like this, like something much more than Victoria, something more resembling the state of New South Wales, I think, as it makes its way down. These are the biggest ever floods anybody has seen, and just in this system, the Ballon system alone, Tracy, the volumes coming down here will match or go above anything they have ever seen. So you can imagine the landholders below St George, in the floodplains below St George, have watched their country cousins further north, desperately trying to protect their homes. They're doing the same. The levees are being built, the stock are being moved, but much of that country will go under. So this is just the beginning of the flood crisis. It's not even the beginning of the end.
You visited that region a number of times now, Paul. Were you shocked when you got there and saw what was happening?
Well, I guess having seen those floods in March last year, they covered most of the country west of here, Cunnamulla and Charleville. Charleville had those record floods. It is astounding because you really can't. When you've seen this country in drought as we have for the last 10 years, they say the bigger the drought, the bigger the flood, and that's what's happening to Queensland. It happened in the west out there at Charleville and Cunnamulla in March last year, and now it's happening to the east of St George. These are incredible pictures, and nothing, I don't think, can ever convey the sheer enormity of the size of these floods, or the sheer desperation of the people in towns like Theodore and Condamine who've just lost everything and seen their whole towns go under.
Paul Lockyer, thank you very much for that update.